Dear brothers and sisters, today I want to speak to each one of you who carries a wound deep in your heart. Perhaps you feel forgotten, abandoned, or unworthy of love. Maybe life has cracked you open in ways you cannot mend alone. To the broken, listen carefully. You are still loved. Yes, you, with all your fears, all your mistakes, all your loneliness, you are still loved. And pause for a moment of silence in a world quick to judge and slow to heal. It is easy to believe that our brokenness disqualifies us from God's embrace. But let me tell you a story of a shepherd who leaves 99 sheep to find the one that is lost. That lost sheep is you. The shepherd's love is relentless. It does not turn away from the wounded, but seeks to carry them home. No matter how heavy the weight you carry, no matter how deep the wounds that seem too painful to heal, know this: God's mercy reaches into the darkest places of our hearts. It is not a distant mercy, a mercy that waits for us to be perfect or worthy, but a mercy that comes to meet us exactly where we are, in our brokenness, in our loneliness, in our doubts. Imagine the tired mother who wakes in the middle of the night to comfort her crying child. She does not ask for explanations or reasons. She simply holds the child close and offers warmth. This is how God's mercy holds you, without condition, without hesitation. There is a story Jesus told of a shepherd who leaves 99 sheep in safety to search for the one that is lost. That one lost sheep could be you. And the shepherd's love is relentless. It does not give up. It does not turn away. It persists until it finds. So often we feel ashamed or unworthy, believing our mistakes separate us from God's love. But the gospel tells us otherwise. No sin is greater than God's mercy. No fault is too deep to be forgiven. Look at the poor, the sick, the stranger on the street corner. They carry burdens many cannot see. They experience rejection and pain every day. Jesus walks with them, and in walking with them, He teaches us that mercy is not just a feeling, it is a way of living. Mercy invites us to open our hearts, to reach out, to serve, even when it is difficult. So today, listen to this gentle truth, and God's mercy is stronger than your doubts, louder than your fears, greater than your guilt. It is waiting for you, always ready to lift you up and carry you home. Let that mercy enter your heart. Let it heal your wounds. And then let it flow from you to others. For in mercy we find the true path to peace and communion. Pause for a moment now and let this mercy wash over you. Receive it with courage and live it with love. There are moments when loneliness feels like a heavy cloak wrapped tightly around our shoulders, when the silence in a crowded room echoes louder than words, and when the burden of suffering seems too much to bear alone. Yet, in these moments, we must remember we are never truly alone. Around us walk countless others whose hearts carry unseen scars, whose lives bear silent wounds. The poor on the streets, the refugee far from home, the elderly forgotten by time, the young searching for meaning. Each carries a cross known only to God and themselves. Jesus taught us that wherever 2 or 3 gather in His name, He is there among them. And in that presence, we find the strength to bear one another's burdens. We are part of a great communion, a family woven not by perfect lives, but by shared brokenness and hope, like a mosaic made of shattered pieces. Each one of us adds beauty to the whole. Sometimes the cracks feel they will never close, yet through these very cracks shines the light of God's grace. This is the mystery of communion. We do not walk alone. We walk together, hand in hand, heart to heart. Look closely. There is always someone nearby who understands your pain. Someone who reaches out quietly with kindness and mercy. Jesus calls us to see one another not as strangers, but as brothers and sisters, to welcome the other with open arms, especially those on the margins, for in them Christ Himself is present. Let this truth sink deeply into your soul. Your suffering connects you to a community that loves and sustains you. Pause now and feel this embrace. Let the reality of shared suffering and shared hope fill your heart. Then, with gentle courage, reach out your hand, because together we walk toward healing, toward justice, toward love. Together, we are never alone. Together, we are home. Our stories, one each unique, each one precious, are written not only in moments of joy, but also in moments of pain. Sometimes we feel tempted to hide the wounds we carry, the scars we bear from life's trials, as if they were marks of shame rather than signs of survival. Yet, the gospel reveals to us a deeper truth. God does not erase our stories. Rather, He weaves them into His greater plan of love and redemption, like the potter who shapes the broken clay into something beautiful. God uses the cracks in our hearts to let His light shine through. Consider the example of the woman at the well who came carrying her past like a heavy burden. Jesus did not reject her or cast her away. Instead, He engaged her with tenderness and dignity. In her story, we see our own, the longing to be understood, to be accepted, to be loved despite our flaws. Our pain is not a barrier to God's love. It is a pathway that invites us to deeper healing. Look also to those who live on the edges of society, the homeless, the sick, the marginalized, whose stories often go unheard. They teach us that every person's history matters, that every voice deserves to be heard, and every heart can be a vessel of God's grace. The cracks in our lives are not just breaks. They're openings where mercy enters, where hope grows, where love begins. Pause now and allow your story, your whole story, to rest in God's hands. Let go of shame and fear. Let God's light fill every broken place. Then, with courage, share your story with others. In doing so, you build a community where healing is possible, where every heart finds a place to belong. Remember, your story matters. Your story is part of God's story. Live it with hope, live it with love. Healing often begins not with grand gestures, but with small, courageous steps taken in the quiet moments of our lives. It's the gentle reaching out to a neighbor in need, the whispered prayer in the stillness of the night, the humble act of forgiveness offered even when it is difficult. Sometimes healing feels slow, almost invisible, like a seed planted beneath the soil, waiting patiently to break through the surface. But God's grace works in these small moments, transforming hearts one step at a time. Think of the man who sits alone in the park, weary and forgotten, and the child who shares a smile despite hardship. These simple acts of kindness, moments of courage to love in spite of fear, are the very building blocks of healing. Jesus teaches us that even the smallest faith, like a mustard seed, can move mountains. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to love and hope anyway. We must remember that healing is a journey marked by patience and trust. It calls us to be gentle with ourselves and others, to walk beside those who struggle, and to carry one another's burdens. Each step, no matter how small, is a victory over despair. Each moment of mercy is a light piercing through darkness. Now, let us pause and reflect. Where is God asking you to take a small step today? What act of courage can you offer to yourself or to another? Let your heart be open to the quiet call of love and respond with hope. Live each day with courage. Live each day with love. When we come to recognize our own brokenness, a surprising and beautiful thing happens. We become more open to the suffering of others. In embracing our wounds, we discover the tenderness and patience to reach out with a compassionate heart. The world is full of those who are hurting, the poor who hunger for justice, the lonely who long for companionship, the sick who need care, and the forgotten who cry out in silence. To love them is not a burden, but a blessing, a sacred calling rooted in the very heart of the gospel. Jesus showed us this path of mercy, not as a distant ideal, but as a daily way of living. He sat with sinners, healed the sick, and welcomed the outcast. He taught us that the measure of our love is found in how we treat the least among us. In caring for the broken, we become instruments of God's peace and healing in a world that so desperately needs it. You are called to be such an instrument. You are called to extend the hand of mercy, to listen with patience, to speak words of hope, and to act with courage. It is not always easy, and sometimes it requires sacrifice. But every act of love, no matter how small, is a light in the darkness. Pause now and hear this gentle invitation. Will you be a bearer of mercy? Will you allow your brokenness to deepen your compassion? Step forward with courage and love, knowing that in serving others, you walk with Christ Himself. Live this message daily with your hands, your words, your heart. Live mercy, live hope, live love. As we come to the close of this reflection, remember once more, you are still loved. No matter the wounds you carry, no matter the doubts that cloud your heart, God's love is unwavering. It calls you, invites, embraces you. And this love is not meant to be kept quietly in our hearts. It is meant to be shared, lived, and given freely to all those we meet, especially the broken, the weary, the forgotten. Let us go forth with renewed courage and gentle strength. Let us be witnesses of mercy, a world longing for compassion. Let us build bridges where there is division, offer hope where there is despair, and bring light where there is darkness. Each step you take, each act of love you offer, is a testament to the transforming power of God's grace. May you carry this message in your heart every day. May it inspire your words, shape your actions, and fill your life with peace. Good luck on this journey of healing and love. Thank you for opening your heart and listening with such care. May God bless you abundantly and keep you always in His tender embrace.